Hey everyone, it's Nicole, and welcome to my weekly broadcast. I'm really enjoying these, and people are starting to ask some questions, which I think is really cool. They're mostly asking them to me offline, so I can address them here. So, in today's episode, we're going to be talking about people always ask me about my New Year goal setting and kind of how I organize myself. I know it seems early to think about the new year, but it really is coming up. And I don't know, around the holidays, I usually just want to kick back and relax a little. Normally it's super busy for me kind of leading up into shipping dates. You know what I mean? So that guaranteed arriving before Christmas mark. And then I get a little bit of a break. And then the last few days of the year is kind of my nonprofit clients helping them get the most money that they can. So obviously this is a good time to do this because it's a little bit before things get super crazy. And so today, like I said, I'm talking about what I do for goal setting. Now, am I a goal setting expert? No, I'm not. And I've even actually the two people who asked me to do this said I should do they're like, you should do a whole series on it. And I'm like, I really don't have much to say about what I do. I have my thing that works. And so this video is just me talking about my thing that works for me. And if you can use parts of it, great. If not, that's fine. Just a couple of little housekeeping things before we officially start, because our official start time is 9:15. This coming weekend, if you are in, God, why does that still look like crap? If you are in our markets in Northern New York or in Bar Harbor, Maine, let's try showing that again. Okay, it still looks like crap. Not going to worry about it. We're doing this basically sort of shopping channel streaming thing. It's going to be really fun. So Saturdays is going to be businesses on or around Bar Harbor, Maine. So if you're sort of nearby, that's totally fine at this point. And for Sunday, it's going to be businesses in and around Northern New York, Canton, Potsdam area. So if you fit the bill, just go to one of those. Obviously, MDI Shopping Network is for Mount Desert Island in Maine, and SLC is for St. Lawrence County Shopping Network. And so just go there, fill out the form, and I'll get you in on that. If you want to just watch it, you can be on one of these Facebook or YouTube pages that you're watching this on right now. It's going to be streaming here live, and also obviously it'll be available as a replay. And it will also be streaming to some other spots like Anchor Space, which is our co-working space, Facebook pages and YouTube channels and all that. So it'll be streaming lots of places. And if you want the streaming links, you can leave a comment or message me or whatever, and I'll make sure that you get on the list to get those. So that's coming up this weekend, and that'll be really fun. So let's get this party started. So mostly this is going to be like a little show and tell. I have things on my desk and everything. But this is kind of how I organize my new year. This is how I do my goal setting. Now, the first thing that I do is I get a bullet journal. Now, I know what you're thinking. If you are on Pinterest or Instagram at all, you understand that people can get super crazy with the bullet journals. They have these beautiful spreads, and they have all these drawings, and it's like an artist's notebook. My bullet journal is very functional. Now, I buy a different colored journal every year. So this was 2020's one. It is pink. And my 2021, oh my God, sorry, I have a lot of crap on my desk apparently, is navy blue. I just like getting them in a different color so I can tell them apart. And I think my year before's was, I think, teal. And the year before that, I think, was yellow. So they just sit on my shelf and I can reference them if I need to. But I try to make it doesn't really matter that it's a different color. Now, in terms of a bullet journal, what I look for is something that is this size. I forget what it's called. I think it's A6 but basically this fits in my crossbody bag. So if you ever meet me in real life and you see that I have a purse, it is 90% going to be a crossbody bag. And also my briefcase is a crossbody bag. I am somebody who finds something that works for me and just stick with it. That's the kind of person I am. So this fits into my purse. Now, I've tried the Moleskine notebooks, the really small ones, you know what I'm talking about? And they're too small to write notes in because you end up running out of room. I like having a place for my hand to rest. So this is the ideal size for me. Now, you might have to experience to find something that's the ideal size for you. So besides being the right size to fit in my purse, the other thing that I look for is numbered pages. So this is what's called a dot grid. So it's dots that are in a grid, and the pages already have numbers on them. Now, if you have to write them yourself, it's kind of a pain in the butt. I did it for a couple of years when I was trying out this whole system. But what having page numbers allows you to do is you have a little index. So I'm never guessing what page stuff is on because I have it in my index. Now, in terms of how I organize this a little bit more minutely, and this is just me, again, if you're interested in this concept, just look up bullet journals. There's lots of people who have lots of ideas about them, some of which are more aesthetically beautiful than others. Mine is very functional. Let me show you a sample page in my bullet journal. It is literally, oops, this is why I can never do my hair. I am not good at mirrored stuff. Literally, it is like just a list with stuff on it. And sometimes I get cute with the formatting, but oftentimes I don't. So in terms of how I organize, so this is 250 pages. And I know what you're thinking, like how do you start with a blank notebook with 250 pages and it's like, how the heck do I organize this? And so over the course of the last 4 years, this is what I found has worked for me. The first pages 1 through 50 are my monthly spreads. So for example, as you see, I have tabs. So here's January, February. So I have a tab for each month, and each month gets about 4 pages. It gets 4 pages, exactly. So January, for example, is page 2 through 5. And so I make a little tracker for habits that I want to set up. Now, what's interesting is I know we all felt like 2020 was a dumpster fire. I know we're still in it, but I know it was a crap year. But what's interesting about the bullet journal thing is I can look back at January of 2019 and I can think, oh, what habits was I trying to establish in January of 2019? Oh, I was trying to drink 2 bottles of water a day. And I was trying to do 2 billable hours of work. Now, I already just do that. So I don't have to track it anymore in 2021 because I figured out, I made it a priority. I made it a habit in 2020. So now in 2021, I'm working on some new stuff. I am working on getting new adventures and working on my novel for 30 minutes, maybe not every day, but like 5 days a week, right? So I use the tracker to set up new habits. But what's nice is when I can look back on previous years, I can see that I actually developed, I actually got some stuff done, which is kind of neat. So on these month pages, I might include things like, if I'm working on a big project or something like that, I might include some stuff about that. I might include birthdays of people I want to remember. By the way, one of the things I fail at every year, and maybe this year I won't, is remembering people's birthdays and doing things like sending cards or sending a silly text message or something like that. I want to become more thoughtful. And every year I copy those birthdays in every month, and eventually I'll get it. You know what I mean? And maybe 2021's the year. So my first 50 pages are all just monthly spreads, and I tab them so I can get to them easy. So here's me getting to January. Oh, here's me getting to February. So that's kind of how I do that. Now, the next 50 pages I have classified as my personal notes section. And I just make a little tab, and where's my little tab to get to the personal notes section? And what that is things like books I want to read or stuff I want to get in terms of when you're getting dressed in the morning and you think, oh, like I really wish I had a white button-down shirt, like that would really help. So these are just lists of things or things I want to keep in mind. I also keep a bucket list of things to do locally or nearby. So those of you who know me know that I'm kind of between Maine and New York a lot. So I have a list of things I want to do both places so that way, even if it keeps them in my mind. So those are that's my little personal notes section. Recipes I want to try, things like that is the 50 pages after my monthly tracking pages. Now I mostly use this. If we meet, you'll notice that I take handwritten notes. And to me, that helps a lot. So I have had an agenda book since I was 14 years old. And it's because my memory sucks. If you see me in the grocery store and you're like, oh, can you remind me? You'll see I take out my phone and immediately write it down. It's because I will forget. And I don't know, I think I started having an agenda when I was in middle school because I actually got hit by a car when I was in 7th grade. And I had a really hard time remembering things for a while. So I got used to writing things down, and now I do it. So when we're meeting together, And I will give, if you're a client, you have a page in my notebook. Now you might ask yourself, well, Nicole, we met in 2020. So where did the notes go? I'll get to that later, but your notes move on. But each one of you, when I take client notes, you're in here. If I think we're going to do a lot of business together, you get 2 pages. If I don't think we're going to do a lot of business together, you get 1, but I still like you. So that's the 100 pages, of kind of client notes. And it's really easy for me to reference because I have written, which clients are on what pages, because I have that little index. That's when you get the page numbered version of the bullet journal, it comes with the little index in the front that you can fill out. And the final 50 pages, because like I said, they usually come with 250 pages. So what I do, the reason I get this I ordered this, and the reason I get this way ahead of time, because I get that 2021 starts like weeks from now, is that I'm going to do my goal setting in here. And so I have my goal setting from last year in here, that I go through, and I'll talk about my process in a second. So I keep my goal setting, literally, I carry it with me so I can reference it. And also I just kind of use the back few pages for like kind of journaling, gratitude. I think last year, I literally called it working through my crap. So I have like 15 pages of me working through my crap, notes that I take when I'm in therapy, sort of breakthroughs I've had, that kind of thing. The stuff that doesn't really fit into any of those other categories kind of goes in this back section. I've tried to start a gratitude practice. It hasn't really worked for me, not because I'm not grateful, but because that particular thing doesn't work well for me. So I just find if I give myself just an area to like put like kind of random thoughts in. So normally like pages 200 through 220 are like the goal setting pages. And then the rest of it is just like journaling, kind of processing stuff, because I always have my notebook with me. And so if I have a few minutes, or if I'm whatever, I take it out and I do it here. And then I can see kind of like what I've been thinking and all that. And it's a really nice record for the future. So I like the bullet journal. Like I said, I'm not super like creative and illustrative about it. I do, like I said, I do tab the pages. I get these little page tabs. And sometimes I get a new pen or two because I like a nice gel pen. It just makes me happy. So besides the bullet journal, I also pick a word of the year. And that is like my little underlying theme. So it's hard to like constantly reference like a list of goals, but it's really easy to keep a word in mind. So my word last year is upgrade. So this is my desktop background. It's kind of stretching out a little weird when I put this on the screen because it's kind of making it fit in this aspect ratio. You don't have to make it your desktop background. It's just a word that you keep in mind. And there are, and I'll include in the show notes, there's lots of people who have these kind of lists on their website. Danielle Laporte is somebody who I can think of right off, who has like these like sort of words, and it's just a single word. So an example of a previous year was the year I got divorced. My word of the year was grace. So anytime I was presented with something, I'd be like, how do I handle this with grace? And so all this year, my whole thing has been, what can I upgrade in my life? And it's from replacing things that no longer serve me to getting rid of clutter to anyway, that word really spoke to me this past year. So, and sometimes it takes me a while to think of my word of the year. And the thing is, like, I don't pick my word out of obligation, if that makes sense. So someone's like, well, why don't you pick like gratitude or whatever? Yeah. So my word this year, I don't know if you know what? I'm just going to say it. My word this year is sexy. 2021, I'm bringing sexy back. I've been super productive these last few years. I've been trying to, but like, I want to get in myself. I want to like get in tune with my creativity. I want to so that word to you, you might be like, that's really stupid, but I like it. So it doesn't really matter. So pick a word that you like, that you can like sort of like embody for the year. And it's just easy to keep that word in mind. You can put it as your desktop background. If when you reset passwords, you can put that, embedded within your password. So just like a word to keep in mind. And then when something happens, I can ask myself in 2021, is this going to make me sexier, or does this feel sexy? And if I can just say no, then I won't do it. No big deal. So like I said, pick a word for the year, and like in different years, different things are going to resonate for you. And that's totally fine. Like I said, I'm trying to think of previous words before upgrade, and grace. There was some other words in there and I can't remember what they were, but it's an easier thing to keep in mind, one thing versus multiple things. The thing that I end up talking to people a lot about is, so stuff is going to come into your life, right? Or so part of this year is you're cleaning stuff out, but also in this new year, stuff is going to come in. And now I'm not a professional organizer or anything like that. By the way, I love organizing other people's stuff. If you ever want me to come over and help you with your closet in non-pandemic times, just pour me a glass of wine and I will help you with that. I love that sort of thing. But I have no authority, but I can talk a little bit about where I put my digital stuff. So I have stuff coming at me digitally. And what I have to do is figure out where to put it, because that's part of sort of like keeping things moving. It's sort of related to goal setting. I know it doesn't seem like it's related to goal setting, but I promise that, for example, when I get a new recipe, where does it go? When I get a link sent to me, where does it go? So this is where I put my stuff. Again, you can choose where you want to put your stuff, but this is the kind of stuff that I find coming into my life digitally and where I put it. Because going into the new year with something like this, like a plan, will allow you to be able to access the things that get sent to you, and also will be able to make you feel like you're more kind of in control and organized in your life. At least it does me. Technically, I can be sort of a hot mess about some things, but some things I've actually thought through how to do. So the first thing is that I get links, right? And you do too. Maybe you're scrolling on social media and you get a link to a really useful blog post that you want to read, but maybe can't read right now, but you want to maybe keep in reference. Or, there's this really pretty, winter coat that you want to own someday. You're not ready to buy it right now, but you just want to remember how much you like it. So I classify links into two categories. Is this a thinky link or is this a pretty link? So thinky links, like links to studies, articles about my industry, that kind of thing. I use a service called Get Pocket, and there's an app too. There's a Pocket app. And so when I see a link that I like, I can just click add to Pocket, and I can even tag it if I want. I'm not as organized about, I don't tag stuff. I just put it in Get Pocket and I use the search to find it. But you can also tag things, by certain categories. But if it's more of a visual link, it's more of a recipe, it's more of a style thing, it's maybe a rug that I want to buy someday for my house or something, that goes into Pinterest. Now, within Pinterest, obviously you can have a public profile, which I do, but I also have private Pinterest boards that nobody can see. And the private Pinterest boards are stuff that's for me, right? So that is, a good thing, so that works for me in terms of having to. Now, you might just say, I want to put all my links in one place. That's fine. I'm just telling you what I do. So links that come into my life get put one of these two places. And then after that, I know if I'm like, oh, where's that recipe? I'm not wondering where it is. I know it's on Pinterest. I know I put it on Pinterest. The other thing, obviously, I have to classify is my handwritten notes, right? So like my previous client notes, I want to be able to reference. So funny story, I got a call from a client that I had 4 years ago. And she was like, Nicole, what is my password for this? Now, I didn't do a ton of work with her, but I remembered we had talked about passwords in the meeting. And so I went into my Evernote and I looked in the notes and I had the password. And it was the same. It hadn't changed. So my handwritten notes at the end of the year, I scan them, the ones I want to reference, and I put them into Evernote. So if you're a previous client and you contact me, I have all of the handwritten notes of meetings that we've had together that I can pull up for our upcoming meeting. The second kind of thing I have is what I call a working document. So maybe it's a blog post I'm drafting, maybe it's a press release, something like that. And we use Google Drive for that. So we're a Google Docs, a G Suite organization. Maybe you're into Microsoft or some other, cloud-based sort of solution. So our working documents live there. And then I have what I call archive documents. So the kind of thing like your stuff that you need to keep for taxes, or receipts, or bills that you've paid that you just want to keep record that you've paid. And what I do is I use an app called GeniusScan on my phone, and I scan them and I put them into certain folders in Dropbox. So for example, within Dropbox, I have a business general folder, and within that folder, I have payroll, insurance, receipts. And so I just scan it and put it in there. And I call it an archive document because I'm probably not going to ever need to reference it. But if I do, I have it and I know where it is. So that is how I handle like the different kind of notes of my life. The other thing I have to manage are photo and video. And those are similar. Obviously, they're a similar thing, but one takes up way more room than the other, right? So I use Google Photo for that. When I take photos or video on my phone, it automatically uploads to Google. I pay $1.99 a month to have 100 gigs of storage. I get it. I could get a external hard drive and back. I understand. You can tell me how I can save $2 a month. To me, it is just worth having it automatically happen and automatically get put into Google. And then it is off my phone and I don't have to worry about backing it up or anything like that. It just, when I'm connected to Wi-Fi, it just goes into the cloud. The other thing though, that I get mainly through email is clients who send me stuff, so obviously client photo and video, I don't necessarily putting it in my Google Photos. First of all, like if I'm working with other people, like they're going to be like, I don't want to wade through like your family pictures and stuff. Like I just want to get at the client stuff. So we use Dropbox to share files because I like it better than Google Drive, honestly. And each client gets their own folder in Dropbox. So I can individually share folder. I can either add the client if they use Dropbox and they can put stuff in there, or I can share it with other people that we're working with on a project. So active clients get put into the Dropbox that's synced to my 4 different computers that are in the company. And past clients just go into our archive. They don't get synced to any computer. So if you're someone we worked with years ago, and you're like, oh, hey, we tanked our website. Do you happen to have the backups you took when you last worked on our website? I probably do. They're just in the past client folder. So I have to log in online and download them and send them to you. So they're not as readily accessible, but they're still there. So like I said, each client has a folder and I keep most everything that makes sense for me to keep. If you went out of business 10 years ago, I might not have your stuff because I feel like that was over. But other than that, I probably have it in the past client folder. But all our active clients are in our regular Dropbox with their own client name. The other thing I have that coming in are events. So for example, people invite you to events on Facebook, right? Or they email you about events or something like that. So I need a central place that all my events go. And for me, that's Google Calendar. So if someone sends me an event, I just add it right away. The other thing you can do with Google Calendar is so what I do when I RSVP to something on Facebook, I have the Facebook calendar of events, my calendar of events displaying in Google. So I see it all in one place. So I don't have to manually add it. It just shows up and I can see, oh yeah, I RSVP to that event, and here it is. And here's the link and all the information. So that's how I, like I said, organize my events. And then the final thing that I have, and this is how my email honestly gets super out of control, is tasks. So, a client might email me and there's like 4 tasks within that one email. What I need to do is I need to get it out of my email and put it into our project management system. I've been using Asana for 9 years now. I'm sure I could move to another project management system. It works well for me. I use the free version. I know that the paid version has some features. I don't quite know what those are. I haven't run into things that I felt like were lacking enough that I started looking into it. But what I can do is there is an Asana Google Calendar integration that I've recently added to my. So when I'm in my email, there's now a little Asana button, and I can add the email into a project. I can add the email into a task so that other people can reference the email. So that makes a lot of sense. I don't know why I didn't think to do that before, but obviously if a task has some kind of due date or there's some kind of milestones, I will also assign a due date and I make that Asana show up in my Google Calendar. Now I'm a Google person. There are other solutions. Like I said, I know Microsoft has products that are very similar. Maybe if you're a Mac person, I know Apple has stuff, the iMac, the, iCal and stuff like that. The thing with our setup is that we have 2 Macs and 2 PCs in my business. So I can't have anything that's just Mac. I also need to be able to test stuff in PCs. So I need to have both anyway. So anything that I pick has to be cloud-based. In your case, if you're just one person with one computer, you can make the exact right decisions for you. But knowing where stuff is going to go helps in terms of like not spending time trying to figure out where it is. And it also makes it so that you can, like I said, feel just more organized as this stuff comes into your life. What I have to do though is, even though 80% of the time I'm pretty good, occasionally I am not. So for example, my Google Photos hasn't been cleaned out in a while. So what I'm going to do occasionally is think about, where is stuff piling up? It's kind of like, we all have that like table in our house that like we like put stuff onto when we come into the house. Like periodically we have to clean that off. It's the same with digital stuff. So for example, I might decide, okay, every month, the first Saturday of every month or something like that, I'm going to pour myself a nice cup of coffee on a laid back Saturday morning, and I'm going to spend an hour cleaning out Google Photos once a month, something like that. But I need to schedule those periodic cleanouts because stuff does pile up. I did that the other day with Pocket. I was like, okay, like which one of these is an article about Facebook from 2015 even relevant now? It kind of isn't, right? A lot's changed. So I can just delete that. You know what I mean? So I periodically clean out the stuff. So 80% of the time I'm good. So I'm not dealing with like a pile of crap that has never been filed. I'm instead dealing with that small amount of miscellaneous files occasionally that need to be moved around. And the final thing that I do, which is the thing that I do every December, it's the reason I ordered this at the beginning of December and wanted to come in and get it organized, is that I do a goal setting exercise. So this is from my friend Matt Baya. Shout out to Matt Baya if he's watching. But this is a book called Your Best Year Yet. And despite the exclamation mark and the clouds in the background, it's pretty good. Just pick a goal setting framework. I'm not like here to tell you like this is the only goal setting framework, because it isn't. But how this works is basically it's 10 questions it asks you. And it helps you use those questions to set goals for the coming year. So like the first question is like, what went well last year? And you're supposed to give yourself 3 or 4 hours to kind of do this. And in non-pandemic times, I used to have people come over to my house if they wanted to. I was like, listen, I'm doing this. Or we would do it here at the co-working space. I'd be like, hey, I'm going to just do this. I'm doing this with a business group. The next Wednesday afternoon. So if you want in on that, just email the address that's on your screen and they can send you the streaming link. So I'm just kind of showing up and doing it. So I'm basically going through these goal setting things in an abbreviated period of time. But you want to give yourself some time if you want to really dig into them. And I know it feels silly to think like, at least I think this sometimes, like, why do I need to think about the past? Why can't I just keep moving forward? But the reality is like downloading is part of the experience. So it's, and then you think about the year and then you set some goals, and it just feels lovely, get yourself a comfy outfit, make yourself a nice warm beverage, make it like cozy and fun if you're going to do it. And then you have goals going into the year ready to go. And like I said, I have this thing I can carry around. It reminds me of what's important. It reminds me to do things. It's someplace to write things down. I know that they've studied like sort of like handwriting, stores, writing things out longhand stores it differently than typing it out. So for me, I know it seems a little counterintuitive because I'm an internet person, but I actually like handwriting stuff. It just works better for me. But what I need to do is obviously put things into digital format. Like I need to like put my events in some kind of digital format. I need to, I have these digital things that I need to organize as well. But in terms of organizing my thoughts, I really like the handwritten stuff. And there is a way to be both in this digital world, to be a bit of a Luddite and also be a digital person. And I feel like I'm walking that line mostly okay. I could be doing better, but the good news is if I look year to year, I am doing better. And yeah, so that's my process, and that's how I do it. So I don't know if this is interesting. I'm happy to kind of delve into exactly how I do everything, but that's kind of the main stuff I have to say about it, honestly. So I didn't have a whole like series of videos to do on this, just this one. But yeah, so I hope that you're kind of, I know we're all excited about the new year because that means this year will be over. But also, I hope you're excited about the new year because, who doesn't like the feeling of getting a new notebook? I mean, it reminds me of school when I'd get a new little notebook and it would just make me so happy. So we've got, so we've got a comment for Sue. Nicole, thanks for the encouragement. All right. I'm glad that it's encouraging. And if you leave a comment, I can throw it on the screen like that. And that's super cool. I love it. So anyway, just a little reminder that if you have any topics that you want me to cover, feel free to email me. Like I said, this came up when I was talking to a friend verbally about this. She's like, you should do a video on that. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, I don't think it's that interesting, but if you do, cool. But the other thing to know is that there is a free, if you're watching this and thinking, oh, this person's a little crazy, but I could spend some time with them. I've got this free program, 2020makesomemoney.com. It's a 20 days, 20 minutes a day, building an online business from scratch. I don't assume you know anything. I don't assume you're like an internet person like I am. And, and that's kind of how we do stuff. Got a quick question here from Matt Baya. Do I actually use the bullet journal system? Okay, so this is a good question. So within the bullet journal system, there is like this series where like you have to check stuff off and all that. No, I don't do that. I literally just use it as a notebook that has a table of contents. That's literally how I use it. But there is, if you get really into the bullet journal thing, there is a system where like you write things down and there's like a way to check them off when they're completely done. And if they don't get done, there's a way to kind of move them over. So I use the term bullet journal, but I'm sort of like a lazy bullet journal person. Not only do I not illustrate, but I don't like follow the exact protocol. But I do, like I said, I do the habit tracking, which is part of the bullet journal thing. And I do the lists and things like that. And just like I said, it just helps me kind of keep everything together in one spot. So, and the other thing to know, which is something that someone has told me, is that apparently OneNote can be better than Evernote. I've never used OneNote, but yeah. So if you don't like the idea of Evernote, check out OneNote. I heard it's better. I would love to actually. What I would love to do with this series at some point is like have like debates, but not actual debates, but just have two different. So like, my friend Dave is super into Google Sites, and I'm super not into Google Sites. And I would just love to like come on and like talk about like the pros and cons and all that. But anyway, so if you want a free program, if you enjoyed your time with me and feel like you could spend some time and want to build a second stream of income or a third stream of income or however many, an additional one to what you currently have, the 2020 Make Some Money is good. It's online, it's totally free, and you can enjoy that. Okay, and someone is asking, okay, hey Liz, where do you order your bullet journals and do you order the tabs separately? So you can get this like any bookstore or something like that. I will say if you don't enjoy giving Amazon money, and who does, there are, check out your local bookstore, probably has this, but also there's this website called bookshop.org that I noticed that a lot of my bookstore clients are using. They haven't been able to maybe get all of their inventory online, but they use this bookshop thing. And when you purchase from there, the bookstore gets the money versus Amazon. So you can order this in a stationery store. I know that like paper store, there's like a really nice paper store in Boston that has like really cute journals that I like to get stuff from. And then in the tabs, I just get at the same, they're just stationary, and these are sticky tabs. Last year I bought they're little tiny, you'll appreciate this. They're little tiny calendars, but I found I never referenced them and the tabs were too small. So just a personal, okay. I put that so close that it messed with my focus here. Let me see if I'm going to turn off my camera and turn it back on again here. Okay, still doing it. All right. Matt wants me to host a sort of playoff, Google Keep versus OneNote, and the winner progresses to the next round. I think that would be really fun. The problem is I don't know enough about Google Keep to be able to do that. So hold on, okay. I'm blurry now. I shouldn't have gone so close to the camera. Lesson learned. Oh, I love all this interaction today that we've been having. So, I've been doing these lives for about, I don't know, 2 months now, something like that. And so it's really fun to that there's people coming to the live portion. But so if you're thinking about doing lives, just, I guess, don't get discouraged if people don't show up for the live. Oh, there I go. I'm back in focus. Don't get discouraged if someone doesn't show up to the live. That people do watch the replays, from what I can tell. 90% of people watch my replays, but it's also nice to have some of you come on live, and it's like I get to I get to see you guys in real life. That's a soft focus. Yeah, it was just those glamour shots photos from the 90s. All I need is maybe a rose over my shoulder or something, or maybe a fur, like a what are those called? Feather boas. If you don't know what glamour shots are because you're too young and or never went to a mall in the 90s, just look them up. You will enjoy your life. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Happy almost, I know it's not the new year yet. We still have a few of these shows to go. Next week, I think we're going to be talking about LinkedIn coming up. And I've got some people that I'm approaching about that. So, and if you want to spend a little more time with me live, I also go live to the Anchor Space pages on Wednesday afternoon at 1:30. So if you look up Anchor Space Bar Harbor, Anchor Space Potsdam, or just Anchor Space generally, you'll be able to watch those. I call it the co-working cuppa, where I have a cup of coffee and talk about sort of co-working, small business development-y kind of things. And tomorrow I'm going to be talking about small business books that I like, because sometimes people ask me about that. And I have a whole bookshelf off camera here to the side that has all my business books on it that I like to read. So, all right. Well, have a great day, everyone. Nice to see you all. And I'll see you next week if I don't see you sooner on the internet or otherwise. All right. Have a good one.